An invisible killer is sweeping the world.
If it spreads unchecked, it's going to be a lot worse.
A pandemic now underway.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
In a matter of weeks, COVID-19 has changed life as we know it.
I think we're kind of beyond the stage of worry.
Worldwide, tens of thousands are dead. Over 250,000 infected, and numbers continue to rise. And now, borders closed, schools shut down, cities on lockdown, and the global economy is at risk.
The economy was moving along just fine, and this, boom, we get hit from the outside.
Past the point of containment, the virus continues to spread.
A vaccine is unlikely to be available in the next 12 months.
How did we get here?
The truth is that we know a lot about these kind of viruses, and it was kind of waiting to happen.
And when and how will this crisis end?
We are in a real fog of war moment. The question is, how big is it going to be? How out of control is it going to get?
There could be other diseases that will emerge in the future. This is not the last one.
America is in turmoil. As a never-before-seen virus, COVID-19 sweeps across the country.
All 54 states, territories, and the District of Columbia have declared a state of emergency.
As the nation reels from the rapid spread of the disease and the severe measures being undertaken to stop it, a shocking new reality sets in.
We are 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from running out of the supplies we need most for our hospitals.
America is in turmoil. As a never-before-seen virus, COVID-19 sweeps across the country.
All 54 states, territories, and the District of Columbia have
COVID-19
declared a
is
state
thought
of
to have
emergency.
crept into the U.S. as the nation reels from the rapid spread of the disease and the severe measures being of this pandemic begins across the globe weeks before. December 19th, 2019, a mysterious disease appears in the Chinese city of Wuhan. With a population of 11 million, the largest city in Hubei province.
The first thing we saw was a photo that had been posted on Twitter, and it said that there had been a number of cases of atypical pneumonia occurring in that city.
A cluster of individuals had presented with severe respiratory distress, and some had died.
Local doctors suspect that something is very wrong in the city.
When you normally treat 10 cases of pneumonia a week and you're suddenly treating 50, you realize something's going on here.
Finding a link between patients is key to unlocking the mystery.
20-something cases had visited the Huanan seafood market, and so it was believed that this particular outbreak had something to do with that market.
A new killer is on the loose.
An entirely new pathogen, something that's completely unlike anything we've seen before.
And the timing couldn't be worse. It's Chinese New Year, the biggest annual celebration in the country. Travelers come and go from all corners of the world, and many of them are, or will soon be, unknowing carriers of a terrifying new disease. Scientists think this could be a new outbreak of SARS, a highly lethal respiratory infection that struck down thousands in 2003. If this new outbreak is anywhere near as contagious, the impact globally could be alarming.
Anytime you have a virus that is somewhat lethal, but highly transmissible, it has the potential to reach millions and millions and millions of people.
Initially, the Chinese authorities are slow to take action to contain the outbreak, even though doctors on the front line are sounding the alarm.
Dr. Li Wenliang tried to warn some of his colleagues that something's going on here, it's quite worrisome, watch out, try to protect yourself.
But just 1 month after doctors first noticed symptoms, the outbreak is growing in intensity, with 201 cases and 3 deaths. Over the next 2 days, Infections triple, deaths rise fivefold.
Things went crazy in China.
A few weeks into the crisis, China's response is simple.
Find every case, isolate them, stop the chains of transmission.
Chinese authorities begin to lock down the city of Wuhan.
They started to quarantine the entire Wuhan city, and that the quarantine measures also being expanded to the surrounding cities.
But the virus continues to wreak havoc in Wuhan.
People were queuing, lining up at hospitals trying to get treated. There were people in corridors. And there were, of course, reports of people who had died in their homes because they weren't allowed to go to the hospital. And there were a lot of scary images coming out in those early days.
Wuhan, under siege, day 3. I'm taking a walk outside.
American teacher Diana Adama documents the reality of life in Wuhan as the lockdown hits.
Everything's closed. Everything. No shops are open. No more good food.
There was this eeriness in the air, this feeling in the air. It just didn't seem normal. There were no cars at one point. I'm on the edge of the city, but there was like nothing.
This was half full before.
Sunday morning, it hit me. What's going on? What's happening? What is this virus? Where did it come from? I went to hospitals looking for the foreign people. Sorry.
As the Chinese authorities lock down the city of 11 million people, their strategy assumes that only a victim showing obvious symptoms like fever and a cough will spread the virus. This will turn out to be a serious error.
The worst possible scenario is if you have people who are spreading virus, even though they don't have symptoms themselves. They don't know they're sick, so they don't know that they should self-isolate. They don't know that they should seek help. And there they are out in the community spreading the virus.
As more cases begin showing up in other big cities in China, like Beijing, a city with roughly 20 million people, it's clear the strategy in Wuhan has failed. By January 19th, the virus is finally identified. It's a new type of what's called coronavirus, a varied group of viruses first identified in the mid-1960s, known to cause symptoms as simple as a common cold to very dangerous and deadly respiratory ailments. And now it's appearing throughout Asia, in Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea, and Japan, all countries within traveling distance of Wuhan. And it is about to reach America.
On the 19th of January, in Washington State, a man, 35 years old, developed some worrying symptoms, took himself to his local doctor, and was ultimately diagnosed with the first case of coronavirus in the United States.
4 days earlier, he had returned from a trip to Wuhan. He insists he hadn't come into